The Commissioner General of the UN Palestinian Refugee Agency has called for a new deal to end the Gaza blockade. Pierre Cryan-Ambol says that the blockade is illegal under international humanitarian law and amounts in many ways to a form of collective punishment. The UNRWA chief has called for an extended ceasefire between Palestinians and Israelis, saying that it's vitally important for both sides. Cryan-Ambol has also urged Israel to conduct a comprehensive and transparent investigation into the strikes on UN schools used as shelters for displaced residents in Beit Hanun, Jabalia, and Rafah. He also expressed concern about the humanitarian situation in Gaza, adding that even before the conflict started, 65% of Palestinian youth were unemployed, and the number of those receiving UNRWA food aid was significantly rising due to the Israeli siege. Well, in the meantime, a humanitarian crisis is looming in the war-torn Gaza Strip, with the tiny besieged enclave grappling with severe shortages of power and water. Gaza's authorities say that the densely populated region is without electricity for 18 hours a day. The power crisis was deteriorated after Gaza's sole power plant came under an Israeli attack late in July. Meanwhile, there's a shortage of clean water, especially at UN-run schools, where nearly 22,000 Palestinian refugees are sheltering. According to the Health Ministry, various diseases are spreading among the refugee population due to the lack of water and hygiene. The UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees says water shortages are due to the Israeli bombardment of the Gaza infrastructure. Hishamana is a correspondent who joins us from the Gaza Strip to tell us more about the troubles that Gazans are experiencing. Well, Hishamana, from lack of water to dirty water to obviously diseases, as we just stated in our piece of news, tell us how Gazans are coping with their problems and how they're trying to overcome them.
Well, I hope that I hear the question properly. The situation is still edgy, and everybody's paying attention to what's going to happen one day from now, as the humanitarian ceasefire, which is supposed to last for 5 days, is supposed to end by tomorrow midnight. After the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu statement saying that we will not accept the Egyptian proposal for ceasefire, many of the people here are still looking forward for the resistance, the Palestinian resistance, heading back to Cairo for continuation of the negotiations, not to fall back, not to move back one step, keep resisting on the Palestinian demands and not letting go of anything at all. As we know that the United States President Obama informed Egypt that the United States is the guarantee of the Israeli side regarding of the Egyptian proposal. So this policy that Israel is following until now is still troubling and still stalling the process of the negotiations going on in Egypt, especially that after this morning the Israeli army break into Al-Aqsa mosque and kidnapped and detained many of the young people there and prevented all the women, all ages, to go there and do the prayers. So this is another Israeli breach, let's say, to the Palestinian-Israeli truce or agreement so far on the ground. However, the situation in the Gaza Strip now is still critical, edgy, and needs immediate intervention, including humanitarian aid, including fuel to cover the power station to provide the Gazans with electricity, as they have only now 6 hours per day of electricity. The water situation is still in crisis. There is still a lot of equipment and aid needs in order to enhance the water networks in Gaza Strip and to do the maintenance needed in order to bring back the water in a good quality. As before the offensive has started, there has been reports saying that the Gaza Strip will have no water available for human use in 2016. That's almost 4 years. That's 2 years from now. the humanitarian aid also should include medical supplies and equipment in order to preserve the life of the casualties still residing in this hospital, Al-Shifa Hospital, and other hospitals in all over the Gaza Strip. And we know that many of the casualties here are still indeed need in order to be transferred out of Gaza Strip and receive medical care, which is not available due to the shortage and the blockade and the absence of the equipment needed to conduct certain critical surgeries. In terms of the food supplies, it's still they're still coming through the borders, through Karam Abu Salim borders, but they are not quite enough in order to feed all the inhabitants of the enclave, and especially the people who fled from their houses and still taking refuge in an UNRWA schools. And some of them are still staying here in Al-Shifa Hospital. They are in a very bad conditions. They are in very bad livelihood conditions. They have no water, no electricity. They have no rooms. They are just staying in the open air and covering their some of the corners they are taking refuge at with sheets.
Right.
This is the only place they have now, as they have no place to go back after the destruction, the mass destruction happened to their neighborhoods in Shujaiya and Khuza'a, in Beit Hanun to the north of Gaza Strip by the Israeli war killing machines.
Thank you very much for that. Hisham Mana there, our correspondent from the Gaza Strip.